And welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. And I am Shanrae. We are on part two, week one, part two of Hyperfocus Disorder. All right, so before I get started, I'm going to go on and read my website disclaimer. All right, so, excuse me. I've been running. Here we go. All right. So please be aware that due to the nature of the technology that I'm using, that there can be no assurance of confidentiality when using this online service. It should also be noted that due to changes in policies that all replies are to be based on advisory and information only and will not constitute an official determination. Information provided by myself are subject to the limitations of current and available material, but the final responsibility rests with you, the individual. Information online is designed to be helpful. However, this information does change frequently, and it is recommended that clients consult another physician, specialist, and or religious leader to aid you in your overall behavioral wellness. So, good evening. I am Shanrae, and this is Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. I have been doing this for the last 5 years, guys. This is my give back. I'm a degree counselor. I acquired my degrees from Ashford University. And let me move this on. Let me read my bio while I'm saying this right now. All right. So I have a dual degree that I've acquired from Ashford University. One is in psychology. The other one is in organizational management. My great passion is bringing healing to people who have been through traumatic or stressful experiences. So when people experience trauma or severe life stressors, it is not uncommon for them to feel like that their life is unraveling. I help clients who include children, adults, and families to find healthy perceptions of themselves and to help strengthen their relationships so they can know themselves as peaceful, complete, whole, and safe. All right, so we're going to move this along. This month, I'm going to be talking about hyperfocus disorder. Hyperfocus disorder. And hold on, I'm gonna share. Hi, Josie. How you doing? I'm Miss Josie. Okay, this is an open forum. And so if you have any questions or if you even want to share some life scenarios, I will pause and I will give highlight to your question or your life scenario, and then we'll go from there. If you do have any questions, I will pause, like I said, and answer them. If there's something that I don't know the answer to right away, I will go on and research it, get the answer back to you as soon as possible. All right, I'm a Christian degree counselor. And so the scripture that I've chosen for this month, the scripture for this month is Ephesians 4:23, and it's the NIV version, and it says to be made new in the attitude of your mind. So let's move to our key points. On Tuesday night, I defined and broke down what hyperfocus disorder is. Tonight is part two, and I'm going to be talking about the affiliate disorders that are classified along with hyperfocus disorder. I do this. I research different things, and I bring them to the attention of people because there are people that you may know, people that you may be related to or in contact with, or maybe even yourself have experienced something, some similar symptom that I may be highlighting and talking about. And this is to let you know and to show you strategies to get through maybe some of these symptoms that you may be experiencing or you've seen others experience. And then also to let you know about the support groups that are available. All right, so let's move on to our key points. Key point number one, ADHD and hyperfixation disorder. Number two, ADHD, hyperfixation versus hyperfocus disorder. Number three, hyperfixation, examples and signs of it. Number four is how to overcome hyperfixation and redirect your attention. Number six, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5, 8 is ADHD. Hyperfixation doesn't have to be your productivity killer. All right. So let's move this along because this 30 minutes is going to go by very, very quickly. I defined hyperfocus disorder on Tuesday night. I'm going to do it again for because this is the first week, I'm going to go on and give this definition once again on tonight. I may skim through it a little bit for the following weeks. But hyperfocus disorder is a highly focused attention that lasts a very long time. The person may concentrate on something so hard that they lose track of everything else that is going on around them. Doctors often see hyperfocus in people who have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, but it's not an official symptom, okay, of ADHD. It is not an official symptom. All right, so let's move this along. All right, so now ADHD and hyperfixation disorder, and this is the phenomenon of people who are experiencing extreme focus issues. All right, so the questions that were asked is, number one, do you ever find yourself so deeply absorbed in what you're doing that time just seems to fly right on by? Maybe it's playing an instrument, reading a thrilling book, or learning a new skill. For non-ADHD, ADHDers, this state of flow is an enjoyable or productive way for them to spend time. But however, for those with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, periods of hyperfixation can be both a blessing and a curse. Okay, so excellence and deep knowledge, positive, while tuning out everyone and everything else becomes a problem. So ADHD hyperfixation isn't actually an attention deficit disorder. This is not an attention deficit disorder. It's more of an attention abundance disorder. And the challenge lies in learning to regulate and to control it. So when this wealth of attention is not managed well, it can people can experience what's known as ADHD hyperfixation. Okay, and the good news is that the person can learn to recognize when the hyperfixation is starting to happen, and they can start to find ways to keep it in check. Now, I'm going to pause right here. I can speak about our culture. Okay, our culture of people. I'm doing this, and this is my give back as a degree counselor, because counsel is very expensive. It's also something that a lot of people they want to do it privately and which is it's supposed to be, but counsel is expensive, and I want to give back. Sometimes, or not sometimes, a lot of times, we as parents have noticed some things with our children when they're younger, and may not exactly know what it is, may not even know exactly if there's a proper name to it, or sometimes may sit there and say, "Oh, they'll grow out of it. Oh, they'll grow out of it." And then when they become adults, now they're adults, and they're still experiencing the same things, and it's affecting their productivity in their life. And so I have been led to talk about certain things, give strategies on actually show you the signs of them, give strategies on how to work through them, and then also give different help sites or groups, different type of groups that you can join, support groups, so they help you manage and overcome and live a productive life like you choose to. But a lot of times, like I said, sometimes parents notice certain things when we're children. They notice, like I can talk about me. I never knew about growing up years ago as a child, never heard of anything called dyslexia. And now they have incorporated dyscalculia. Never heard about that when I was a child, when I became a teenager and in high school, and by watching the Cosby Show. And you know, that was the America's Family back then, favorite family show. And that's when not ADHD, excuse me, that's when dyslexia was introduced to to the world. But it's something that has been going on for people with generations and generations and generations. But it just took it took something like a basic family television show to highlight that there is a disorder out there called dyslexia. It also showed how the son got diagnosed, started going through the different classes to combat what he was experiencing and learn how to become productive and learn how to combat that dyslexia. So it didn't hinder him in school anymore. It didn't hinder him in his life. It didn't hinder him when he wanted to go to college. So this is no different. Me talking about hyperfocus disorder, hyperfixation disorder. This is what I've been led to do, to open up, to not expose, but to enlighten the viewers about maybe something that you may have seen someone else experiencing, and not sure what's really going on, or maybe even you personally, and whether you're an adult, whether you're in your senior years, or whether you're seeing it in a child. This is why I'm doing this. So let me move back on to the hyperfixation. All right, so ADHD, hyperfixation versus hyperfocus. All right, so the terms ADHD, hyperfixation, and hyperfocus are often used interchangeably, but they refer to two distinct phenomena. ADHD, hyperfixation, refers to an intense and often prolonged state of concentration on a particular activity or an object. And this may lead to happiness, satisfaction, and at times increased productivity. But if not well managed, the person may invest more time and effort than they can afford to, causing them to neglect their personal needs, their personal tasks, and their daily responsibilities. And so when these things start to happen with something, if you're too focused on one thing and it's taking you away from your other obligations and responsibilities, then there is a problem there. Okay. So people with ADHD more likely to experience hyperfixation compared to non-ADHDers. So on the other hand, ADHD hyperfocus refers to being deeply focused on a certain task or activity. Anyone could tap into this state of flow. It's like a flow state, described as being fully engaged with the task without any inner worries, fatigue, or boredom at all. Research also shows that this can increase productivity and is often linked to feelings of accomplishment. But while these two phenomena may be similar in some ways, hyperfixation is fueled by an intense passion or interest in that activity or in a activity, which in contrast, hyperfocus disorder is a task driven. It's more task driven, and it's often accompanied by clear goals and a strong sense of direction. So there's not a strong sense of direction when you're talking about hyperfixation. Let me give you an example. You know what? I'm going to stick with examples here. But there is a movie. I am going to say this. There is a movie. Hey, good evening, Dee Dee. How are you? There is a movie out there with Mr. Bean, and it's on Netflix. And when I saw this, it actually jogged me to look more into the character that he was displaying. I cannot remember the movie. I'm going to research it, and I'll be here. I'll put it in here next week. But in this movie, Mr. Bean was so hyper fixated on certain things. It was more like hyper focus because it was certain tasks. He would get distracted and be like, for instance, in the movie, it was like a bee or something, and he was supposed to be taking care of some business with his family, but it was a bee or a fly that flew into his house, and he became so hyper fixated on this bee or on this whatever it was, he destroyed his house. Everything and I think he was house sitting. He destroyed the entire house. He was so busy trying to get to that kill that fly or whatever it was, until he just tuned out everything else and wound up destroying the house just for trying to kill a fly, and he was never able to kill a fly. That, and so when I laughed throughout the whole movie because he's a comedian, so he's funny. But I knew when I was watching it that that's a disorder. He was so, and I started doing research then. This was last year actually when I started doing research on this topic, and I said I'm going to talk about this again. People sometimes don't know what something is, or maybe some symptoms are, until it's brought to their attention, and that's what I'm doing. So let me move this along. So hyperfixation examples and their signs. Let me open this up a little bit, and then I'll close it so you can see. And their signs. All right. So when uncontrolled ADHD fixation happens, the individual may have an unhealthy obsession or an addiction to maybe a hobby, an activity, or even an object. So this commonly is associated with these following symptoms and signs. Number one is losing track of time. Number two is becoming detached from your surroundings. Number three is neglecting roles and responsibilities. Like I was saying about the movie with Mr. Bean. He was supposed to be taking care of some obligations with his family, and he was so hyperfixated on trying to kill this bug until he didn't realize what the damage he was doing, not only with his family, but the damage he was doing in the home itself, physically behind it. Dee Dee said, the movie is Man versus Bee. Oh my God. Yes, it is. And it's on Netflix. Thank you, Dee Dee. Thank you. Yes, it is. It's Man versus Bee. And it's Mr. Bean. It is on Netflix. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all need to watch it. It's so funny. But he is displaying these symptoms right here, these disorders, hyperfixation and hyperfocus. Okay. Oh my gosh. Thank you for that, Dee Dee. Number 4, the symptoms and signs are ignoring your personal needs. Number 5 is struggling to stop, which they're struggling to stop what they're fixating on, or they struggle to switch up activities. Number 6 is they getting caught up with minor details. And so we know that killing a bee or a bug it can be major if you're highly allergic and you do need to get rid of it so you don't get sick or go into shock or anything. But I mean, not to the point, you don't get so to the point to where you're neglecting everything else around you. So hyperfixation manifests differently from one person to another. Someone with ADHD can be engrossed in a hobby like knitting or painting, or a random activity like watching the clouds. Yes. Like it seems like they're just daydreaming and watching clouds. At times, this hyperfixation may be helpful. A person who becomes wholly engaged with a work activity or a task may spend hours completing it without getting distracted. So that's a good thing if you're at work and you need to complete your work. That's good. The overflow of attention tied to ADHD isn't necessarily a liability. You can maintain an eagle eye focus on your current goals when you learn to steer your attention. Okay, so let's move on to how to overcome hyperfixation and then how to redirect your attention. Again, if you may have noticed this in someone that you're close to, maybe even experience some of these symptoms yourself. Depression. I talked about this on Monday. People who are experiencing depression, hyperfocus and hyperfixation is a symptom, becomes a symptom coupled with depression, where they're always daydreaming off their day, looking like, they're always thinking about something pleasurable or something that's entertaining to them, rather than dealing with what's going on in the here and now. So again, hyperfocus, hyperfixation, it can be also a part of depression. Dee Dee said, could it be like a compulsive disorder as well? And I was actually going to bring that up. Yes. Because people with OCD, OCD. They're so hyper focused or hyper fixated on, I got to get this clean. I got to get this clean, that clean. I remember years ago, it was on the news. They said that they some neighbors got worried about their neighbors in their neighborhood, wound up calling the police to do a well check. The police wound up getting into the home. When they got into the home, they found a brother and sister. They lived together, and I don't know if the mom was there or not, but found that they wound up doing murder suicide. Everybody in the house was dead. There was no foul play. Nobody broke in. Nobody killed them. But they chose to do a murder suicide. This was on the news some years ago. And they said what was so unusual about it is when they broke into the house, when the police got in there, they said the house was so clean. It was like unusually clean. Like they cleaned their house. A spick and span. It was so clean before they took their own lives. I think they drank some poison or something like that. And so those were signs of OCD that with that as well. And yes, I was going to say that a little bit earlier. Again, hyperfocus, hyperfixation. I know that OCD goes hand in hand with that as well. That compulsive type thing where you're just so fixated on, I got to keep everything clean. I got to keep everything wiped out, stuff like that. So these disorders, they actually parallel. They parallel with each other. Dee Dee said hoarders too. They are compulsive with saving everything. Oh my God, yes. The house is running over. Lord, God forbid if somebody dropped the match. Actually dropped the cigarette butt, house gonna go up with a minute because the house is so cluttered. Because like Dee Dee said, they're so fixated on saving things. They what they find in what hoarders, they find in dead animals. They're finding dead animals buried up under stuff. I mean, all kinds of things. And again, even a hoarder, like she said, even a hoarder has that hyper focus, hyper fixation type of thing that's going on. I mean, you would think that, okay, they would be clean. No, they're so focused on saving everything. A carton after they finish eating Chinese food, they're going to save the carton, all kinds of things. And so when things are becoming too excessive, that's how you know that it's kind of, when there's no balance there. When it's too obsessive, that's when there's strategies that need to be starting to be put in place to kind of combat the unhealthy behaviors. All right, how to overcome hyperfixation and redirect your attention. And let me open this real quick and I'll close it back. All right, and how to redirect your attention. So you can overcome ADHD hyperfixation with professional support and the right strategies. So here's how you can effectively manage your attention and make the most out of it. Number one, set healthy boundaries. Okay, so if you realize that a particular hobby or interest takes up more and more of your time, try to set clear-cut time limits for these activities. All right. And here's how you can set proper boundaries with doing this. Write out a daily or weekly time limit for the activities that you're doing or hobbies you can get fixated on. Number two, set a time of day when these activities are going to be allowed, for you to do. For instance, you may schedule them toward the end of the day to ensure that you stay focused when working or studying. Number three, determine the conditions that you allow yourself to participate in these activities, like after exercising or during your designated free time. And number four, ask friends and family to keep you accountable by checking in with you. And I really do like these strategies. I'm one definitely for accountability partners and everything, because accountability, they may get on your nerves, but I'm telling you, it's going to help continue to steer you in the right direction when it comes to working on doing things differently and better for you. All right. So number one is set healthy boundaries. Number two, schedule consistent breaks. Okay, so incorporate breaks frequently into activities that you get fixated on. Let me see. That Didi said yes. Um, Schedule a 5 to 10 minute break for every 30-minute block of time that you spend on your favorite pastime. During this break, you can make a snack, take a quick walk, or do something that helps shift your focus off of that activity. Now, this is something that really is imperative, especially if you are having symptoms of hyperfocus or hyperfixation. Taking yourself out of what you were doing can prevent an over immersion in the activity and then help realign your perceptions of time and your reality, because when you're so fixated on something, it's easy to lose track of time. All right, number 3, let's explore some new skills and new interests, especially when symptoms of hyperfocus or hyperfixation is there. So by diverting your pool of hobbies, you're less likely to become overly fixated on one specific activity. Challenge yourself by trying a new sport, picking up a foreign language, or learning a musical instrument. Getting involved in volunteer work um, is another great way to find employment and fulfillment. So when trying something new, it's a good idea to approach it with healthy boundaries already that's in place. All right. So number 3 was explore new skills and interests. Number 4 is seek advice and seek support. All right. Let me see. So with a solid support system and professional advice, you can manage your time and resources more effectively or efficiently. So, working with an ADHD coach can open up a safe space to discuss different strategies to help you avoid hyperfixation triggers and set solid boundaries and prioritize daily activities. So, in addition, your healthcare professional may recommend a cognitive behavioral training specialist. That's what I specialize in, cognitive behavioral training, and that's what I do with my clients, CBT. Um, and to help you manage your ADHD hyperfixation and other ADHD related symptoms. So, this form of talk therapy can boost motivation and focus and help you address habits affecting your productivity and your progress. So, if you're interested in belonging to a community, and I introduced this on Tuesday night. Yeah, like I said on Tuesday night, although I'm a degree counselor and I studied and all of this, I don't know everything about everything. So with me practicing, I'm constantly learning. And when I do my research, I'm learning. So when I learned about ADA Plus Community, I was excited. I mean, I was so excited. And this is what this is about to introduce. So you join an ADA support group, for example, ADDA. ADA's virtual support group are a great place to reach out. All right. And these communities provide opportunities for you to connect and seek advice from other ADHDers who have walked in your shoes. So again, and I'm going to come back to this at the end of this. I'm almost finished. It's ADDA Plus Community, and it's you can join it for free. It's a support group for adults, children, for people who experience ADD, ADHD, hyperfixation disorder. It is a great support group, and they also offer to put you in the right direction for specified counseling for whatever you may be diagnosed with. All right, so number 6 is use tools and resources. So when tackling ADHD hyperfixation, effective time management becomes the key. I'm gonna say that again. When tackling ADHD and along with hyperfixation, effective time management becomes the key. We talked about this on Tuesday night about using your cell phone. Cell phones come with timers. It comes with alarm clocks. You can put times in your phones to help you successfully manage your time. So you can use many different tools. This is what it's saying, and resources to maximize your productivity, keep yourself focused, and manage your time better. For instance, you can use a time management app. I love this. They have all kinds of things now. So you can use a time management app to create a daily schedule with time blocks for work and for play for you. Additionally, you can try it says the Pomodoro technique, using a simple timer, what I just said. And this widely used time management method breaks activities into intervals separated by short breaks. A productivity app can help you keep track of your daily to-dos. And listen, you don't have to have hyperfixation or hyperfocus or ADHD. You don't have to have any disorder to utilize these apps, because I like to use timekeeping apps and stuff to keep me abreast of everything I need to do. It helps me to stay strategic in my to-do list and my goals and everything. So a productivity app can help you help keep track of your daily to-dos. And this will ensure that you complete all that you need to do before diving into leisure activities. Okay. And so let's move this along. The next thing is ADHD hyperfixation doesn't have to be your productivity killer. It doesn't have to kill your productivity. So hyperfixation, okay, Dee Dee said, yes, these apps do help. Yes, they do. And she's a business owner. Very, very big. She's a business. She owns her own business. And so her keeping her orders and getting them out on time, doing things. I know she utilizes these productivity apps because her clientele, she wants to make sure that she fulfills her goals correctly, keep her clientele on track, to make sure, whatever with business and everything. So I know she knows what she's talking about as a business professional. All right. So ADHD hyperfixation does not have to be your productivity killer. Hyperfixation is a common experience, again, with people with ADHD, especially when they engage in activities that they find interesting. With that said, the tendency to hyperfixate does not mean that you have to quit activities that you enjoy. What's important is having the right boundaries, the right support system, and the right strategies to keep these interests from taking over your life. And if you're looking for a multifaceted approach to managing your ADHD hyperfixation, see, they keep talking about the support group ADDA plus community, ADDA community. Through ADDA, you will gain access to expert-driven resources, live events, and a community of supportive peers to help you along your journey. Like I said, I am so excited about learning about ADDA plus community. All right, so this is it. This is the end. Where we at? Okay, I almost did it. This is our takeaway for tonight. It's in blue, so y'all won't be able to see it. The takeaway for tonight says that the overflow of attention tied to ADHD isn't necessarily a liability. You can maintain an eagle eye focus on your current goals when you learn to steer your attention. And I'm gonna show the same quote. I'm reusing this again. I'm probably going to continue to use this quote for the rest of the month, because when I say that this here is a powerful statement, the quote for this month, I'm going to say for this month is, you don't have to control your thoughts. You just have to stop letting your thoughts control you. And this is by Dan Millman. I'm going to say that again. The quote for this month is, you don't have to control your thoughts. You just have to stop letting your thoughts control you. And this is by Dan Millman. All right. So this first week has come and gone by very quickly. I want to show this. I talked about ADDA Plus community for people that have been experiencing symptoms of hyperfocus, hyperfixation, maybe along with depression, maybe along with OCD, maybe along with ADHD. But I want to talk about better help. I really, and I'm going to open this really quick. And I'll read this for you. Okay, so if you want a safe space to speak with a licensed professional, online. BetterHelp offers affordable counseling sessions for individuals, couples, and for family members. All you have to do is put in www.betterhelp.com. All right. So, and here we go. This is for my fellow counselors and theorists. This is where I got my studies from and my research. These are the websites. You can check them for yourself for my fellow theorists. All right. So, let me move this along. All right. So, if there's a past Counsel of the Day with Shanrae series that you've missed or you just want to rewatch, you can go to my YouTube channel at Shanrae Price. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications, and then select any past series that you would like to watch. Again, on my YouTube channel at Shanrae Price. All right, now I'm going to do this because this is who I am. Let me open this up a little bit. And I do, like I said, I do have clients that I counsel. I do private counseling. I do 30-minute counsel. If you need if you ever need to just do a quick counsel while you're on the go, I do 30-minute sessions. Of course, I do longer, 60-minute, 90 minutes. But if you need a quick 20-minute or 30-minute sessions, okay, let me go here. If you're interested in my counsel, I am a one-on-one counselor. Feel free to contact me via Facebook Messenger at Shanrae Owens, or you can email me at shanraecherieprice@gmail.com. I will get back to you just as quick as you get to me. I'm a lifestyle strategist, and my aim is to aid you in your life's goals and your life's dreams. All right. So again, I am available for phone, for Zoom, for a one-on-one in person counsel, and I do quick on the go. If you just need to help walk through something, which that has happened. I've had a quick or phone counsel, 20-minute, 30 minutes. I'm available to do that as well. Okay, and help if you need to walk through something. That's what I do. All right, so this has been the first week of Counsel of the Day with Shanrae, and this is the breakdown of hyperfocus disorder and the comparison hyperfixation. I'll see you next week as we start moving talking about this in life scenarios with your family, with your friends. So that'll start next week. I'm back to every Tuesday and every Thursday of this month, and okay, my time is at 9 p.m. All right, well, y'all have a good night. I'll see you next Tuesday for week 2. All right, have a wonderful weekend.